Okay, good morning. Good to see you. How are you today?
Good to see you too. Good. It's a Monday, so I'm excited for the week.
Me too, as am I. Um, okay, to get started, I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Enzor. I'm an assistant professor of counseling here at the Chicago School, and I'm joining you here today from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And Nidhi, I know that you are one of our students, but if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and from where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm a second year doc student at the CES program here at the Chicago School. I'm joining us from Virginia, and I'm a fully licensed professional counselor. So I am actually at my practice right now.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, it's lovely to meet you. It really is. So today I have, of course, the 10 big questions. And the purpose of these interviews is really to build connections, to establish connections in our department and in the university. So I would encourage you to, relax, have some fun, and we'll jump into our first question, okay?
Okay.
All righty, let's go. Number one, what is the last book you read?
Oh God, this is so bad. Well, I'm currently reading my statistics textbook, but I'm not going to let that count. I can't even remember. Can I talk about the last book that I really liked?
Absolutely, absolutely.
If
Of
that counts.
course.
Okay, it was Persepolis. It's like this new modern comical literature book where it's like this understanding of the war between Iran and Iraq and like this area that they have that's called the Persepolis. And the author is like amazing because she does it through like these digital comic illustrations and things like that, but it's like literature where she's like writing a lot of sentences as well.
Okay, that sounds pretty fascinating. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you reflect on your career, what would you say has been your most significant accomplishment?
I would say my most significant would be recently is when I started my own practice. So kind of going independent on my own and working for myself. It was super duper scary and I'm still figuring it out and it's a little weird, but it's kind of nice to be responsible for myself and learn how to kind of handle this and know all the ins and outs of like what goes into like having a business or being an independent counselor where I don't have like a peer to like run into their room and be like, oh my God, what's going on kind of thing.
Yeah, I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice as you talk about your private practice, and I really do hope that you are enjoying it. I know that I enjoy mine. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you would name one thing that you refuse to live without.
My space heater. I have a problem.
Space heaters. Okay. Okay.
It,
Refuse to
it,
live without. Okay.
yeah, I use them a lot more than I need to.
Okay. Okay. Are you a naturally like cold person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people like make fun of me because in the summer my clients will come in and the office is running really cold and I'm like in the court, like there's a space heater in the corner near my feet. And they're like, this is weird. I'm like, well, I think about it a lot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can relate. When I was in community mental health, Nitty, it, some of those places I worked at were so cold. They would keep the thermostat at like, 60 or 62. And at one point I had a space heater too, so I can relate to that. I can relate. Okay, moving on. How do you advocate for others?
So I think the biggest thing for me is I think about advocacy in more day-to-day life as well. I think what I tell any students that I interact with or even like my colleagues is like this circle that you keep, it's so important to also advocate for what you represent or what you believe in with your friends as well. I feel like it would be bad for me to have clients, for example, who identify a specific way and in a conversation with my friends they're like making fun of people and I stay quiet, right?
Right.
So advocacy for me is being able to like be okay with being uncomfortable even in my personal life and still kind of speak up for like what's right and even educate people that might not be aware of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, Nidhi, that was a great response. A great response. Thank you. Okay, what is something unique or quirky about yourself?
Um, so I love the color purple, and for some reason, I made this rule when I was like 10 years old that if you like purple, you can't like pink. So now I pretend like pink things suck still. It's like an ongoing thing in my head. It's like weird because clearly, pink and purple really mold together and are it's a little confusing sometimes of what's pink and what's purple, but I'd say I'm like a diehard purple advocate and I'll make fun of people who wear pink and they'll sometimes be like, "You're wearing pink." I'm like, "No, this is purple."
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that about yourself. Okay, what member of your family has had the greatest impact on your current way of thinking?
Um, I would say my mom,
Hmm.
because ever since I was younger, she was always working and she was really big about breaking stereotypes and kind of making sure that I had this understanding that being a woman didn't mean just like being there for others and caring for others, but also being able to like learn who you are and fulfill your identity through your career or having friends and just kind of finding yourself and traveling and doing what you wanted to. And I think she always taught me that like the cookie cutter version of what sometimes society creates for women isn't the only option. I mean, if you want to be that, sure, but she kind of showed me that there's other ways to kind of like be who you are.
Yeah. Nidhi, your mother sounds like a very amazing person, very amazing.
Yeah.
And I can relate
Yeah.
to that. I'm very close with my mother as well. And if she taught me anything, it was the importance of just being kind and
Mhm.
empathic, right? And she often said, with those two things, you can't go wrong in life if you always lead with kindness and empathy. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, what advice would you provide to future clinicians and scholars about learning to navigate difficult topics and creating safe spaces? And why is this important?
I would say the biggest thing that I learned, and I still tell every single client, future clinician, everyone, is don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't be afraid to get anxious. I feel like getting uncomfortable through those emotions is really hard because you want to do a good job. And I think thinking about it as a job in itself, you feel like there's a performance or how you're being evaluated or something like that. But it's also just a human process. Like you're just talking to another human, and the way they perceive you is not a job for them. And it might be important to be okay with being uncomfortable because they're not going to like you. You're going to go through ups and downs and ebbs and flows with every single person, including your clients. So being uncomfortable might be a really big part of that like counseling process.
Yeah. And, that's a great advice, I think. Don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. I often tell my students that it's in that space of being uncomfortable or discomfort that you learn the most. So I
Mm-hmm.
encourage my students to kind of lean into those moments of discomfort. But yeah,
Right.
really good job there. Thank you. Okay, so can you describe any traditions, celebrations, or rituals that are important for you?
Yeah, my dog's birthday. I
I
just
love
really
it.
like making a big deal about his birthday because I mean, I just those videos make me so sad that when you leave the house, they think that you're never coming back, or like, their days and lives are like so much shorter because their day is like our week's time. And
Yeah,
I think about if I gave him like such a good day on his birthday, that's like what 1 week of him feeling happy, and maybe that will actually stick. I don't know what their memory is or what it is, but I like making a big deal out of my dog's birthday. I have an Instagram account for him, so I'll decorate, like bribe him with treats, put a cake, and make him pose in front of it, kind of thing.
wonderful. That's wonderful. What kind of dog do you have?
He's a dachshund, so he's extremely stubborn and independent and cocky. So he's not very nice, but he's sometimes nice to me.
That's wonderful. Is he your only dog?
Yes, I
Just
cannot have another one. He would not be okay with it.
gotcha. It sounds like he's a lot like my two dogs, and my two dogs are unequivocally spoiled. They are spoiled. So yeah, love my dogs too. Thank
That's
you. That
not a bad
was
thing.
no, not a bad thing at all. Absolutely. In fact, I don't know what I would do without my dogs. I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, so what is the hardest thing you have ever done?
I would say the hardest thing that I ever did was coming to the US. So I did come as an international student for my undergrad when I was 17. And, I was just talking about it, and sneak peek might be an area for my dissertation right now, but um, it's just so many people don't understand that other countries don't have a lot of basic access to a lot of resources like laundry machines and things like that. Or, you come from an area where you have to learn a lot of things over here, whether it's like the American coin system or just washing your clothes. So I remember being scared when I was like 17 and in my freshman year dorm, and everyone just knew how to do everything else and also take on college. So I felt like I had this like double identity process of trying to fit in, learn how to take care of myself, and also be like a college kid.
Yeah. And look where you're at today in a dog program. That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
When you think about it like that, when you think about, coming to this country when you were 17 and where you are now in a very good dog program, what are your thoughts about that? Because I think that's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, I feel like I'm glad I'm not tired, because I know this process is overwhelming, even like navigating the immigration system here. So I know that sometimes it can get tiring, but I'm glad that I held on, and I do kind of have a little bit more left in me to make a little bit more of a difference or do what I want to do and kind of get higher in terms of helping people who even look like me and need support or need faces like me in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lovely response. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, last question. If you could eat dinner with any three people,
Hmm.
real or imaginary, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Okay, dead or alive. Wait, do these people have to be real? That sounds weird. I mean, like a character. So they could be a character.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, I guess the first person I pick is, I feel bad because Dumbledore just died, but I totally want to eat a meal with him because he's probably been through a lot and knows how to do a lot of things. And his mind seems pretty intricate. I'm really curious about a lot of the decisions he made during
Yeah.
all these meetings. But other than him, I definitely want to get food with any of the Obama family, like Michelle Obama, or like the kids as well. I just want to eat with them and kind of go into their mind and see what their thoughts are, their goals are, and just learn more about who they are. Um, and I guess lastly, I think I'd pick someone. Actually, I think I'd pick like my dog that I had before, like my childhood dog. I do miss her a lot. And I remember she was really fun to eat with because she ate most of my food when I didn't want to eat when I was a kid. So I would love to just do that all over again because that was just nice.
Yeah, those are nice responses. You mentioned the Obamas. Did you get a chance to read Michelle Obama's autobiography that she published a couple of years ago?
I started it. I'm in the audiobook. So I'm like getting through it slowly with every other crime junkie podcast out there. I'm like in between using it as a break.
It's one of the best autobiographies I've ever read. Definitely,
I bet.
definitely. Okay, so that was our last question. Tell me how you're feeling.
I'm feeling good. Now I know how like the students feel or my clients feel because I ask them questions like this all the time, and they're like, I don't know what the answer is.
Well, I just want to thank you for being here today. I really enjoyed this as well. And I really appreciate and value all of your responses. I really do. And I do hope that you had as much fun as I did.
Yeah, yeah, I did.